website worldwide since they first launched in 2007. In the Netherlands, lesbian searches on Pornhub were up 45% in 2018 from 2016, so it's fair to say that the Dutch are giving lesbian sex a big thumbs up. However, they've not always been so appreciative of V-on-V love. Between 1400 and 1550, 15 women were burnt alive in the Netherlands as female sodomites. Those who were not put to death still faced severe punishments. In 1514, Martien van Kieshot and Jan van den Steen of Bruges were both publicly flogged, had their hair burnt off, and were banished from the city for having committed a certain great kind of the unnatural sin of sodomy with several young girls. 600 years later, the unnatural sin of sodomy with several young girls is the most watched porn category amongst the descendants of the same people who thought it was perfectly reasonable to chuck lesbians on a bonfire. Pornhub searches for porn for women were up by 359% in 2018, with women viewing lesbian pornography 197% more often than men did in the same year. This would have come as quite a shock to Dr. William Acton, 1813 to 1875, who claimed that the majority of women, happily for them, are not very much troubled with sexual feeling of any kind. And what the Sunday Express editor, James Douglas, 1867 to 1940, would have made of all this is anybody's guess. In 1928, Douglas attacked Radcliffe Hall's landmark lesbian novel, The Well of Loneliness, writing that this pestilence is devastating the younger generation. It is wrecking young lives. It is defiling young souls. Douglas urged society to cleanse itself from the leprosy of these lepers. And yet here we are, 90 years later, with millions of women around the world jilling off to such pestilence with our leprous souls intact. What a time to be alive. This is a book about how attitudes to sex have changed throughout history. It is the curious history of sex, and some of the things that we have done to ourselves and to each other in the pursuit and denial of the almighty orgasm. This is not a comprehensive study of every sexual quirk, kink and ritual across all cultures throughout time, as that would entail writing an encyclopedia. Rather, this is a drop in the ocean, a paddle in the shallow end of sex history, but I hope that you'll get pleasantly wet nonetheless. I've tried to choose subjects that provide valuable context for issues today, particularly issues of gender, sexual shame, beauty, language, and how desire has been regulated. I have also chosen subjects that are close to my heart, such as the history of sex work, deeply emotive subjects, such as abortion, and also subjects that make me laugh, like cocklebread and orgasming on a bicycle. Although it is easy to laugh at the silly things people have believed throughout history, and I hope you do, it's far more valuable to see how similar we are to people who've gone before us, and question our own beliefs as a result. Sex remains a deeply divisive issue around the world, and in many places it's a matter of life and death. These attitudes will turn and turn again, hopefully for the better, but we will never arrive at a place where sex is free of stigma and shame unless we first know where we have come from. A note on the use of language. As far as offensive language goes, you are now entering a hard hat area. This is a book that uncovers historical attitudes to sex and gender. Our ancestors had little understanding of gender fluidity and understood gender as binary and biologically determined. As a result, much of the historical material in this book defines women as having vulvas and men as having penises. For example, in the chapter on the history of the word cunt, cunt is something that is understood to be the genitals of a woman. Today, we know that some women have cunts and some do not, just as some men do and some men do not, but our ancestors did not view gender or biology in such terms. They understood cunt as being a woman's genitals. While this may be offensive to modern ears, understanding historical attitudes to gender identity and sexual morphology is essential if we're to fully appreciate how heteronormativity and the constructs of the binary of masculine and feminine came to dominate cultural narratives today. The slang used throughout this book is all genuine historical slang and is followed by the date that it was first recorded. My primary source for the historical slang is Jonathan Green's Dictionary of Slang, which I cannot recommend enough if you would like to learn more. Sex and Words. Chapter 1. 'Tis pity she's a whore. The whore in Whores of Yore.